football fans, it's time once again for another rendition of the Pound for Pound. I'm your host, J.R. Clark, and we're talking about the playoffs still. Check that out. We went out to L.A., handled our business, put on display yet again our vast improving defense that has won us many games this year and continues to put that mark, that footprint of Dan Quinn on this Atlanta team. Not saying that it was an entirely defensive performance, but special teams came up big in that game. The offense played solid. Actually started to lean on that run game, which was good to see. It was important to see. But yet again, it's showing you the type of team that Dan Quinn really wants, in my opinion. And that is a, dominant defense, ball control offense. That's the recipe that won Seattle their Super Bowl, and I feel like that's what he's trying to create here. As I've stated before, he pretty much said as much when he got hired. So I think internally, Dan Quinn was obviously smiling, ear to ear with the way his team played and the type of game that played out this past week. So now we're on to Philly. The 6th seed going to take on the 1 seed. But it's a little different this year. This 1 seed is without their most potent weapon, which is Carson Wentz. He's without I've heard it said or seen it said, the straw that stirs the drink. So that's going to be something to look at and to monitor as we get closer to the game. Not that Carson Wentz going to come back. Obviously, he's done for the season, done for the year. But the backup, the fill-in, Nick Foles, is not a slouch of a quarterback. He had his best years in Philly. So, he's put that stuff on tape before. So you can't just count it out. You can't just say, oh, well they're without Wentz and this is going to be an easy game. First and foremost, they have LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi. Those are 2 really good running backs. Now, we did a real good job of limiting and bottling up Todd Gurley of the Rams. I think, yes, he broke the 100-yard mark, but that really only came on 1 series, or at least half of it came on 1 series. That didn't result in a touchdown. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the box score or the stats from the Rams game. So going into Philly, I really think they're going to try to establish the run and put it on their backs and not necessarily have to put it on the arm of Nick Foles. Now, we want it to be on the arm of Nick Foles. We need to dictate that to Philly with our defense. I really believe that we're going to go as far in this playoff as our defense takes us. That's exactly how I see it this year, which is fine. That's something I've been wanting for years now, is to have a respectable defense that can win you games. Because offenses, as fun as they are to watch, and as awesome as it was to see last year, offenses can be stopped by good defenses. We saw that against the Rams. Number 1 offense got stopped by the number 9 defense. So, offenses can be hemmed up and can be bottled up. Dominant defenses tend to make it easier for your offense because they give you short yardage, they give you favorable field position most of the time, things like that. That's how Seattle won their Super Bowl, with a dominant defense giving Russell Wilson short fields to work on. Now, we're working on the short field part, but the defense is coming up big, as we go into these, or as we continue into these playoffs. So, now let's talk about Philly's defense. Philly's defense has got a tremendous defensive line. Just like the Rams with Aaron Donald, Brockers, and Quinn. Philly's got, Benny Logan. They've got Brandon Graham, just to name of 2. They got Michael Kendricks, who they, for whatever reason, continue to try to ship off, but all he does is make plays. May not be Michael Kendricks, it may be Eric Kendricks. It's one of the Kendricks. I can't remember. I can't recall it right at this moment. But anyway, they have a good linebacking core. They have, a good, decent, cornerback secondary type unit. So it's going to be a game that's going to look a lot like the Rams game as far as our offense to their defense type deal. We're going to have to try to establish the run. I was really loving the fact that in that second half against the Rams, they really started leaning on the run game, which is something they needed to do. Our offensive line, especially with Levitri out, you're talking about essentially two brand new starting guards in Ben Garland and Schweitzer. The easiest thing for an offensive lineman to do is go forward. You know what I'm saying? You got to hit somebody, move forward. You keep them, the offensive line, on the attack. That tends to be more of a confidence builder. You see what I'm saying? So I think that if we can establish the run in Philadelphia early, that's going to do nothing but good things for us. I mean, defenses and good defense and run games travel. Okay, I know y'all have all heard that before. That's nothing new. If you've got a good defense and you got a run game, you can play anywhere. Last year, we didn't have that great of a defense, and our run game was suspect at times. The run game, I feel like, has been one of the more consistent aspects of our offense this year. So I hope that they continue to lean on that run game to propel them forward. So my feelings on this particular game is if you put it on the arm of Nick Foles, I believe good things will happen for us. You're going to have to harass him. You're going to have to move him off his spot. We did a real good job against Jared Goff against the Rams by moving him, sacking him 3 times, and just generally making him uncomfortable all game. You're going to have to do that again with Nick Foles. The pass rush is going to have to continue to bring the heat and continue to disrupt the play. So all these corny cliched things aside, I feel like this is one of the more favorable matchups so far in this playoff. I feel better going into this game than I did going into the Rams game. And because of the, not ineptitude, that's not the right word, because of Wentz going down. You don't like to see anybody get injured, nothing like that. But if it's going to benefit us, then in a analytical sense, I'll take it. So, that's where I stand on that. I feel much more confident going into this game than I did going into the Rams game. And really, the Rams game was never even close. They never really did push all that hard. You'd see fits and starts here and there, but for the most part, we controlled that game all the way through. So I hope that trend can, continue in Philadelphia. And, we get a win there, and obviously we're back in the NFC Championship game. And in a lot of ways, that was the mark that I set for myself in my head. Yes, I want to get back to the Super Bowl, obviously, but, my line of, is this a successful season? To me, you have to reach at least the NFC Championship game. And I think that is solely, I think that's very obtainable for this group and for this team. So, like I said, run it back down again. You get the run game going, and our defense keeps playing the way it's playing, I believe we'll be right back in the NFC Championship game. I don't think that you should have to put it on the arm of Matt Ryan. Yes, he's the reigning MVP, and he should be able to do it. And I think if he really had to, he could do it. But I feel like get it on the run game, control that clock, control the tempo of the game, and good things will happen. So hopefully we'll be talking about the NFC Championship game. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.